And we are back, y'all. Greetings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How we doing? August the 10th. It is a Monday. Welcome to your brand new work cycle, y'all. Where do I begin? I've been MIA. Been MIA for 4 days. And I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it, nothing. Y'all, these jobs have had me jumping. The gig at the stadium, babies, she came to work. Hold on. I got to do this. It's about 80 something degrees out there and it feels like an armpit. Oh shit. Hold on, y'all. There we go. It's about 80 something degrees out there. It feels like an armpit. So, I've got my fan, I've got my air conditioning on, all of that stuff. Y'all, yeah, these jobs had me jumping. And I would get home and I would just be passed out. I do not like to do the content. I don't like to pre-batch. I like to get the energy of the day to give it more authenticity. But yeah, there was none of that was going on. All right, we're going to pull that one. There we go. Today we are going to get our downloads from The Goddess Dream Oracle by Miss Wendy Andrew. This was given to me by my girlfriend Val. Love her to pieces. Yeah, she's a DJ. I was supposed to go and see her set. That wasn't happening. Passed the fuck out. All right. So we're going to get our transit from the Llewellyn Daily Planetary Guide 2026. Let me spread out my my tarot and we get started. But yeah, y'all, I did the best I could. All right, let me bring you down a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, let's begin today's transit. Okay, so today we got Mercury in Leo that's squaring Chiron that's retrograding in Taurus. Let me break that down. Mercury rules our thoughts. Our words, our communication. In Leo, Mercury speaks from the heart, but it can also, again, with these Leos, that pride can get in. So try not to mix your communication with any pride or ego, because what needs to be heard. But the moment you speak out of pride or you speak out of ego, people aren't listening. People are not going to be listening. Chiron retrograding in Taurus brings us back to wounds around ourself, around our self-worth, around our security, around control, and what we believe, what we deserve. Okay, so this square is going to bring some uncomfortable truths to the surface. It's going to bring some uncomfortable truths to the surface. And you may start seeing how some power dynamics, control, or even codependency, or even the stories that you've been telling yourselves, how they're going to be affecting your relationships. Okay. That realization is going to hurt. But later on tonight, the energy is going to shift. You may finally have an opportunity to do something about what you've realized. Clarity is going to come, pain, truth, but then the realization, more clarity. Okay. Sometimes y'all know something is wrong. And our instincts is to fix it. We should call them, we should explain ourselves, have a conversation, make it right. But what if today isn't asking you to fix anything? What if it's asking you to see the truth first? See the shit for what it is right now. You all are going to, some of you might feel restless today, and that something needs to change. And you may even feel like I need to handle this shit right now. But the energy of this transit says, not yet. Not yet. Give yourself some time to understand what you've actually been feeling before you react to it. Okay. Sometimes we rush to repair a situation because sitting with the truth is uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. Let that truth set in. You can't heal what you haven't fully understood. Huh? Today isn't about blaming yourself. Today is not about blaming yourself or somebody else. Today is going to be the day that we recognize the pattern. Where do we give up our power? Where did we give up? Where do we try to control the outcome? How do we confuse attachment for love? When we do all that, that's when our breakthroughs are going to begin, by asking ourselves those hard questions, by sitting in those nasty truths. That's when our breakthrough is going to begin. The only thing that the only tarot that I feel that would personify the energies that we're feeling today, this right here, the devil. Traditionally, the devil represents attachment, unhealthy patterns, temptations, addictions, dependencies, control. The things that keep us bound, even when we know that shit ain't good for us. See? That chain, that's codependency. That's addiction to the drama. That's addiction to the struggle. The chains are there, but they're not necessarily locked. No. Nope. If you look, we could slip those chains right off of our necks. Chains are not locked. We lock that. Codependency can make us believe that fixing someone else's feelings will finally make us feel safe. It won't. It won't. Trying to control the outcome can actually keep us from connecting to the very patterns that's hurting us. Today asks us to choose the difference between connection and attachment. You cannot create. You cannot create a new reality while continuing to give power to the old patterns. Awareness changes the relationship you have with your circumstances. You often heard me say that awareness brings responsibility. Awareness changes the relationships you have with your circumstances. Before you change what's happening outside of you, you got to get honest about what's happening inside of you. The devil right here, very strong. It's a very strong match for today's energy, because this transit is exposing the invisible agreements that keep us, that keep us stuck in that relationship, whatever it may be. Whether it's control, whether it's fear, whether it's dependency, power struggles, the need to be needed, the need to be right. The question isn't who's the problem. The question is, what pattern am I participating in? That's where your power comes back. That's when your power comes back. Don't force the conversation today. Don't react from the wound. Today we're going to observe. We're going to listen to ourselves. We're going to notice what triggers us. And when the opportunity to act comes later on tonight, we are going to respond from clarity, not from emotion. Yeah. Where are you giving your power away in any relationship? And what would change if you stopped trying to control the outcome? That's it. That's all. Okay. So, here we go. So you saw the shuffle, you saw the pull. Today we're going to use the goddess's dream, and we got card number 8. Couldn't see that. Card number 8, and it's courage. Courage in the face of conflict. All right. There we go. Let's talk about the numerological aspects. When we talk about the number 8, we're talking about rewards. We're talking about progress. We're talking about change. We're talking about forward movement. We're talking about energy. We're talking about speed, strength, and success. This card right here says courage. All right. So, courage. We're looking to find strength in the face of what scares us without allowing fear to make a decision for us. So here's your question, collective. Here's your question. What would you do? What would you do if you trusted yourself more than you trusted fear? Yeah. A lot of us, we are working from fear. A lot of us, we want to be determined. We want to be empowered, but we got this self-imposed fear on us. So let me tell you something. You've all heard this before. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward while fear is still present. You know what tarot card this is, what's going to match this. And if you all guessed strength, you guessed correctly. You guessed correctly. Yeah. We're talking about inner strength. We're talking about courage. We're talking about self-control. We're talking about resiliency. Yeah, fear is a natural response. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty. Okay, but you've also heard me say this before. Danger is real. Fear is not. Courage, it develops when we learn that we can experience fear without letting it control our behavior. That's a concept. You don't have to stop being afraid. You just have to stop allowing fear to make your decision. You can still be afraid. In fact, if you weren't, that would be crazy. Take a breath. Trust yourself. Take the next step. We're going to affirm. We're going to affirm. I am courageous, capable, and stronger than my fears. I am courageous, capable, and stronger than my fears. Yeah. I didn't give you all an affirmation for the astrological forecast. Y'all, those 4 days without me doing it got me, knocked me off my square. But like I said, I was working, so I do apologize. But again, y'all, stay in alignment. Alignment is your assignment. And again, when you've got to have those conversations that you do not want to face, close your eyes. And before you do, ask the universe to show you how good it can be. All right, y'all. Welcome to your new 5-day work cycle. Happy Monday.